Shalom, on the start of souls by giving all praise to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushua, B'Hashem Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of great Most High, and honors to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the real name of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. His son's true name is Yahushua. And when we pray Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushua, but meaning in, meaning Dan Sham, meaning names Yahweh in the name of Yahushua. Real quick, just wanted to touch on this one thing. Where I was basically watching the new season of House of David, which even that show, it just proves you that this Hollywood doesn't need to show all of these weird, wacky films, if you will, right? As has been said before, it's like there are hella stories in the scriptures. And even when you look into the law, there are certain things where it was like, look, man, make sure you recount this to your to your children for generations, but the House of David, one of the things that that I think that it depicted well, was the prophet Samuel. Of course, they did a whole race swap thing. As we know, according to the precepts, the children of Israel, are so-called so-called black people, right? Even the one whom the world ain't calls Jesus Christ, right, is described as so-called black man. It's Revelation 1:13. It says, in the midst of the seven candlesticks, right, referring to the seven churches in Asia Minor, right? One like unto the Son of Man, clothed with the garment down to the foot. So as you see us, how we are dressed, right? In when we're at camp, we wear the garments, right? Something more similar to that. The ancient garb would have been a bit more different. But just as an example, right? It says, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle, right? Because it was a man of war. Right, it says his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. Right, so had white woolly hair, white beard. Right, it says, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in the furnace, and his voice is the sound of many waters. Right, so if his feet were like unto fine brass, and what was the rest of his body? Okay, so that's whom the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. That's a description of him. Okay. Right, but we carry on, right? But one of the things that when I was watching season one, most of season two of basically more or less caught up, just one episode behind, right? But one of the things is just this idea of just men, right? At the end of the day, right now the Lord has chosen us, right? If we be of the elect, now the Lord has chosen us, to as I think the apostles frame it as, just ordinary men doing extraordinary things. Okay. And that's this thing, you kind of see, how they depicted, the prophet Samuel, how, he, was just a quote unquote regular man, right? But whom the Most High had chosen. Okay. Because in this thing, right, this thing of ours is about election, right? It's about being chosen, right? This is John 15:16, right? Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you, right? That you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever you shall ask of my Father in my name, he may give it you. Okay, so this ordination, if you will, right? But this, the act of being ordained is something that ultimately we have no control over. The Lord has his elect, and his elect have been sealed from the foundation of the earth. Okay, this is Ephesians 1 from verse 4, right? According, right, as he hath chosen us before him from the foundation, according as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Yahushua Mashiach to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. Right, so just this idea of like the Lord just chose, right? Someone may be like, well, why am I not of the elect? You wasn't chosen, right? The Most High was like, look, man, I'm gonna choose this individual, I'm gonna choose that individual, right? And when the time comes, I'm gonna be with those individuals, right? It was a good scene in season 2, which ultimately it's not spoilers because we've all read the scriptures, right? But the in season 2, one of the things, you have one that they've depicted as King David's older brother, right, where basically he's got an issue with, right, with David being put in a position, right, and then basically another brother came and says like, look, man, you just got to accept it, right, because hey, it's the Most High that chose David for that position, right, and that's just what it is, right. If the Most High says yay, then yay. If the Most High says nay, then nay. All right, right. What is let me see. Yeah, let me. I'll go into this. Right. I'll read into it a bit. So it says Romans 9 and 14. What shall we say then? Is the unrighteous with the Most High? Yahweh forbid. For he saith to Moses, I'll have mercy on whom I'll have mercy, and I'll have compassion on whom I'll have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of the Most High that showeth mercy. For the scriptures saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth. Thou wilt say then unto me, why doth ye find fault? For who hath resisted as well? So if the Most High hath chosen you for a particular lot, what would you go and do about it? All right, that's your position. That's what you go and play. Okay, so it says, nay, but O man, right, who art thou that repliest against the Most High? Shall the thing formed to say of him that formed it, why made me thus? Right, hath not the potter power over the clay of the same lot to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? Right, it slightly goes into something else, but the sentiment is the same. The Most High is the one that hath control over all of this thing, right? So there are some men that he hath chosen, and there are some men that he hath not chosen. And that's just what it is, right? But just going back onto this point, right? It's 1 Corinthians 4 and 6 says, and these things, brethren, I have in a figure transferred to myself and to Apollos for your sake, that ye might learn in us not to think of men above that which is written, that no one of you might you be puffed up one for against another, right? For who maketh thee to differ from another, and what hast thou that? This is a bit of a tongue twister for me. And what hast thou that thou didst not receive? Now, if thou didst receive it, why dost thou glory, as if thou hadst not received it? Okay, so basically, at the end of the day, it's like, we've been, gifted this thing of ours, right? This has been revealed unto us. This isn't something that the Lord that has just come into our minds. And even then, it's like the Most High is the one that put it into our minds, right? It says Amos 3 and 7, surely the Most High will do nothing, but he revealeth the secret unto the servants the prophet, right? So the Lord basically is the one that just tapped us and was like, all right, cool, take this, ingest this. Like in Neo, where it's like, not in Neo, but with in the Matrix, Neo was like, oh, I know kung fu. I believe it was Matrix. Okay, and yeah, that's what it is. It's like the Most High is the one that opened up our minds to see this, right? To basically get the understanding and for it to click. Okay, because there are those whom the Most High is like, look, you ain't gonna get it. Okay, I'll grab one more precept. This is 1 Corinthians 9 and 27, right? So, which says, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I preach to others, I myself should be a castaway. I want to get that just on this, once again, which is like, this thing of humility, because at the end of the day, the Most High can use us, right, and discard us, which is, why, it's only until the job is done, right, that we can really be like, oh, cool, can't, but up until that point, it really is just a thing of hoping and praying and doing what it is to make our calling and election sure, right? So like I said, I just wanted to touch on that real quick, speak on that, because it is something that I thought was depicted quite well. For me anyway, I was just like, yeah, just showed that, this thing of ours, as you hear the apostles say, it's just like, look, man, we just men, we're fighting for the same crown, for the same penny, right? just ordinary men doing extraordinary things. Okay. Of course, there are elders, we give them reverence, right? But the point stands, and once again, I think that program, showed a lot of things. Well, if brothers ain't watched it, then I recommend it's a good watch. You can watch it on Amazon Prime, or you can acquire it, right, if you catch my drift. So as always, Lord's all, that was edifying. Till next time we say shalom.